Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. We founded Presilium Private Wealth because we wanted to give you an amazing experience. And as part of that, we invited Julie back for 2 special wellness and cooking events to help you to feel your best in 2024 and beyond. Julie is a certified nutrition consultant and runs her own company, Best Whole Self, which inspires individuals to feel better physically and mentally and boost their daily energy and productivity. Julie is now my personal health coach and helps me to be at my absolute best every day so that I can continue to serve all of you at the highest possible level. Tonight, we have an amazing healthy cooking class planned for you, and we'll also discuss the best ways to shop for food as part of your healthy diet. If you have any questions for Julie, please feel free to type them in the Q&A box below, and we'll ask her during the presentation. Julie, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you so much for having me again. Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Palumbo. It is a pleasure to be here. And tonight, we are going to have a special type of cooking demonstration. So if you've been here before, you're probably used to just us cooking and making something in the kitchen, maybe some healthy tips or time-saving tips. But tonight, we're going to take it a step further, and we're going to talk about the fact that maybe we can't always cook our own meals in the kitchen, so we have to buy pre-made stuff in the store, which is totally fine. But there are certain things that you should look for to make sure that you're buying the best quality ingredients and not getting deceived by marketing techniques to make you feel like you're buying something good when really you're not. So I'm going to walk you through some really good steps to make sure that you're getting the best quality food, that you're being more efficient in your grocery shopping because, let's face it, we don't want to spend hours there. And also how you could be healthy even if you don't have the time to necessarily cook an at-home meal. So tonight we are making minestrone soup and frozen banana peanut butter sandwiches. The soup itself is super, super easy. It's something you could actually prep a lot ahead of time. I am a huge fan of leftover soup. I think the longer it sits and the flavors marry together, the better. So if you want to make this one night ahead, like let's say, on a Tuesday, you're already making dinner, maybe you also throw a pot of soup on. You don't have to eat it then, just, cool it off and refrigerate it. And you could eat it the next night or the night after. So it doesn't have to be eaten immediately. As I said, sometimes it's even better the next day, the longer that the flavors marry together. And it also could even be prepped ahead of time. So maybe you want to cook it the same night that you're going to eat it, but it could be prepped ahead of time. Another component of this that is important to note, that if you want to save time, you absolutely could buy your onion, carrots, and celery already pre-diced. And you've probably seen those in containers at the store. Totally fine to do that too. The fancy name for that combo of the onion, celery, and carrots is a mirepoix. That's what we're going to start with our soup. It's how you start the base to start building flavors upon that. So if you wanted to go ahead and get started with cutting, if you're joining me in the cooking component tonight, that is great. There will be opportunities for questions to be asked. You could, funnel them through Jerry and he will ask me them. And we should get cooking because we have a lot to cover in this hour. And it is my pleasure to start showing you just how easy it is to make homemade soup. But again, if homemade is just not on your radar every single night, that's a-okay. There's other ways around it to still be healthy. So I am going to just put a little bit of olive oil in my pot, I should say. And I am going to start dicing up my carrots. I'm actually using baby carrots because that's just how we buy carrots. I have 3 children, the youngest being 9 months old, and she loves eating roasted carrots like this now because she could pick them up. So we just buy baby carrots. If it's baby carrots or big carrots, whatever it is, you're going to put about 2 cups of carrots into your soup, give or take. So I'm just going to slice through this. You just want to make sure, regardless of what you're using, I think the recipe says 5 big carrots. If you are doing big carrots or small carrots, just make sure that they're cut uniformly in size so that you don't have some that are overly cooked and some that are undercooked. So if you're leaving them in circles like I am, just make sure that they're the same width. Obviously, they're going to be the same diameter. If you're using big carrots, you should probably, I would cut them lengthwise first, and then each lengthwise half cut again. So you're kind of quartering it and then just dice down lengthwise. So that's a good way to get it into a more uniform shape as well. And again, it's not even for aesthetic purposes as it is just cooking purposes and making sure everything's cooked uniformly. So I'm just going to cut through here. If you have whole carrots too, make sure they're peeled. The beauty of baby carrots is that they're already peeled. Just have to wash them a little bit. So I'm just going to cut through a few more here. And if you have any questions, now's the time to ask. And that's so true for Jerry and Brooke and the team who's joining us tonight too.
Julie, yeah, we have a few questions already ready.
Oh,
Let's just start with, what should we look for on food labels at the grocery store? What are some of the most important things that we should look for as we're buying food?
yes, great question. So I'm a big fan of perimeter shopping, which means that you just shop the perimeter section. So that's the produce section, the butcher, dairy, fresh bakery. So like you're not buying, the like Wonder Bread, you're buying the homemade bread. The perimeter shopping is a great way to start. If for some reason you cannot buy fresh or you don't want to, let's say, for instance, instead of making soup tonight, just checking my temperature, you want to just buy a can of soup. The first thing to look at, believe it or not, is not the calories. And I have a few examples here that I will bring up while the soup simmers to prove why it's so important to not look at the calories as the most important thing, because all calories are is energy, and you will burn that off, especially if you're active. Now, if you're looking for something that, is specifically, I love how people say like a low fat item, always look to see how much sugar is in the label and look at the ingredients list. You want to pick the item that has the least amount of added ingredients. So if you're looking for a soup that isn't homemade, your next best is honestly getting it at the grocery store where they make it, like they have like the pre-made hot foods. Or if you're in the canned aisle, that's totally fine. Just look for the soups that have the ingredients that you could pull out of your own pantry. So the spices that you have, the vegetables that you have. Don't go for the brands that have hard to pronounce ingredients or things that say that they act as a preservative, which if you are paying attention to them, which like when I was looking for my examples, it's amazing how many come with preservatives. And no matter how much you work out, so you could work off extra calories. You can't work off a poorly constructed diet that's filled with chemicals and artificial preservatives. So I always tell people it's more important to count chemicals than calories, because calories you could burn off. It doesn't matter how many hours at the gym you spend, you cannot work off chemicals and pesticides and artificial ingredients and artificial colors that are just going to have negative effects on the body because it's not real food. But that was a good question. And I have specific examples of what to look for. So you're not like, wait, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Julie, as we're looking at labels, do you have a feeling when we're comparing, say, fat to carbohydrates, which is better or worse?
Well, we need our macros, which is carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Depending on what you're aiming to do in your overall health goals would be a really important factor in what you choose. So the reason why I say to perimeter shop means that you're picking whole, clean foods that are minimally processed. So yes, it matters. Like you could technically gain weight if you eat too many carrots. I mean, basically it's too many calories in and not enough calories out, but your quality of life and your overall health will be better. So if you are interested in, let's say, are you asking this like from a weight loss perspective, JR, for this example?
Yeah, or I know something that I notice is I feel great if I have mostly protein and fat, and I don't feel as good from day to day if it's very carbohydrate heavy. And maybe it's
Hmm.
different from person to person, but for
Hmm.
me, I just feel much better on that type of diet.
Yes. So there's two different kinds of carbs though. So for people not to get confused. So there's complex carbs. So that's things like fruits have a lot of complex carbs, potatoes, whole grains, those are good. But the refined carbs like the white bread, white regular pasta, those things like if you're having a bagel in the morning or a muffin, those are the things that could absolutely leave you feeling less energized, namely because carbs burn off so quickly. And secondly, if it's a simple carb, there's probably not a lot of fiber going on in there. So your body is producing so much insulin. By the way, as I'm talking, I'm just going to put our trio in the pot. And I'm only using half of my onion because it is massive. So consider consider the size as you're working through. The same thing with my garlic. My garlic is, what is it? This is one clove of garlic. It is huge, so I'm only using two. I'm not using four. So keep that in mind. Um, so I understand that's why if you were to eat a bagel in the morning, it's not going to keep you as full and as satisfied, and you'd probably feel excuse me, an energy crash sooner than if you had eggs. So I would say getting complex carbs in your diet because your body needs carbs, especially if you're working out. Protein and fat, you need all of that together to really have like a balanced diet. Does that make sense? And also, fat, there's different kinds of fats too. So there's a difference between fat from an avocado versus fat from bacon. As you guys know, I don't like bacon. There is really nothing that I say is completely off limits except for bacon. Um, that is something like even if you're perimeter shopping and you're at the butcher and they have bacon, still skip it. Animal fat like that is not good for anyone. It is only going to increase your risk for heart disease, stroke, any kind of cardiovascular or cholesterol issue. Um, I know that there's a few people on this call tonight that are fans of bacon. So I am going on the record now to say pork bacon is out. Turkey bacon is okay, depending on the brand. There are brands that are cleaner than others, but read your labels and stay away from the bacon as a form of fat. You're better off having a piece of salmon or avocado because fat is good for you. We all need fat in our bodies. I like to say fat doesn't make you fat, it makes you function. So it's definitely good for brain health and development, but it's the type of fat that is different. Just like it's the type of food where you're getting your calories from that makes a difference. So no blanket statements here other than skip the bacon.
What about on your birthday?
Are you having a bacon cake or something? Or like bacon topped donut?
Just for breakfast. Just for breakfast.
Hey, if you want to live to see your next birthday, I would reconsider my breakfast meat. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Maybe,
Julie, I can't even look at bacon anymore without hearing your voice saying to avoid bacon at all costs. So I haven't had bacon in a while. I don't know
it's
about.
just so overly processed. It comes from the dirtiest part of the pig. It is full of fat that the body just can't digest. It is in short just a bad idea.
Yeah. I heard your voice as well every time I look at it, but I haven't had one piece of bacon in about a week.
Oh,
My streak's not quite as long as Jerry's.
that's really funny. I appreciate your honesty.
Julie, something that did really help me though, going along with carbohydrates or how you feel is
Hmm.
one of the things that you did with me is we slowly replace things. It's difficult to
Mm.
make a wholesale change to your diet,
Hmm.
but if you can eliminate things one by one and replace them with something else, for example, I did used to have toast with breakfast every morning,
Hmm.
and
Yep.
we replaced that with fruit. Um, and it just works out great. You just, by making one little change at a time, you can see if you feel a difference, both after that
Yes.
meal and throughout the day and see if it really is going to work for you.
Absolutely. And you make a good point that a lot of times we don't realize the negative effects it's having on us until we switch it. So I've been gluten free since 2013, so almost 11 years now. And I never thought I had a problem with gluten. I thought it was other things. And then I gave up gluten, and 10 days into it, my Crohn's symptoms went away. And not that my Crohn's went away, that took a little bit of a journey to get there. But the immediate feeling that I would have after eating, the sluggishness, the stomach pain, all of that went away. And I thought, oh, I guess how I was feeling before was not normal, and how I'm feeling now is normal. So we tend to skew our sense of normalcy. So if you automatically think that you should be dragging by 2 p.m. every day, you don't have to do that. There could be changes made. And as Jerry said, it could be one simple change. It could be swapping out your morning bagel for a brown rice cake. So you're still getting the carby taste, but it's whole grains. And if you look at if you get the right ingredients or the right packaging, certain rice cakes, they should just say brown rice and maybe salt, and that's it. Then you're in good shape. Maybe it's a matter of changing out your lunch. Instead of having a sandwich with a lot of bread, maybe you're swapping it for a salad, or a sandwich with fries, do a sandwich with salad. But it's one thing at a time, and just see how you feel. And the energy that you will feel is enough for you to start doing it more, because it's like positive reinforcement. If you're trying to lose weight and you see just changing your breakfast routine is leading you to drop pound after pound, that's going to keep driving you. So starting small is a good idea for habit building. Secondly, it's also good to do one thing at a time so that you could pinpoint exactly what's working and what's not. And also it will get you to the other side to realize, oh, this is feeling really good. I want to keep doing more of this. All right, so I have in here my onions, carrots, and celery cooking. You may have noticed I cut up my garlic and I threw that in, and now I'm throwing in 2 bay leaves and some dried thyme, and then I'm going to add my kidney beans. I already rinsed and drained them, and I have some diced tomatoes in a can, 2 cans of that, and my vegetable broth. I am not using chicken broth, but when I do this, I'm going to tell you all a little story. Well, I'm going to demonstrate how chicken broth can be very sneaky and not as healthy as you may think. So let me get all of my, because I don't want this to start sticking, I'm going to get my tomatoes and beans in here and broth and get this simmering. And while it's simmering, I could show you all of my fun label information to kind of show you how you could easily just sniff out the good ones versus the bad ones.
And while you're doing that, Julie, something else that's really helped me is having you as an accountability partner. I also tell my wife and our kids what I'm supposed to be eating. It's very difficult to do this on your own, but if you have a group of people surrounding you that are supporting you and that you can talk with about it, it's a big help.
Yes, definitely. And I like to say that the 3 pillars to success are the system, the support, and the accountability. So your system is what you're doing to achieve your goals. So maybe your goal is to cook healthier food throughout the week. So maybe you start by getting yourself some containers that you could use for food prep or to keep leftovers. Maybe you buy a few cookbooks. Whatever the system is, maybe it's a matter of you just going through your calendar and identifying the days of the week that you're going to grocery shop and cook your dinner. Next, the support, as Jerry said, that's, your partner, your family, your colleagues, someone who's there, or people who are there who are supporting you and not saying, oh, forget about it. You could get a pizza and wings tonight. It's Friday. We're going out. Let's forget all that you've worked for this week. Who cares? It's only one night. You need someone to be like, yeah, like I totally support you in what you're trying to do. We could still go out anyway. Maybe we pick a healthier restaurant, or, whatever, or just let you do your own thing and they order all the pizza and wings for themselves. I am gluten-free and my husband is not, and it has never affected us because no matter where we go, there's always an option I have. our first date was at a it didn't start at a bar. We ended up at a bar to play Quizzo or trivia night. And I was that girl who ordered a salad at a bar. And I did not care to explain why, that I had Crohn's and I needed to eat gluten-free, and everything there was either deep fried or on bread. I just ordered the salad and he never said anything. And to this day, he doesn't care what I'm eating. I don't care what he's eating. Just do what you want to do. And you need that person there to say, hey, I support you and your endeavors. All of that to say, get a good support system. That is so important. And thirdly, the accountability is the person or the people or the way that you are making sure that you are showing up and doing this. So that could be through a health coach like myself. I make sure that you are committed to your goals every week. We talk through action items, what you're going to achieve that week. And if you do that, then we build upon it. Another great form of accountability is social media. So if you say, I'm going to do a 30-day yoga thing, and you post on your story every day, people start to notice. You start to gain traction. The Peloton app is a great way to have accountability because people could see the days that you worked out and what workouts you did. So any one or thing that's going to allow you to have that follow through and consistency is what accountability is, and it's huge. All right, so we are going to let this simmer. I'm going to actually turn this up because I want to bring it to a boil and go into our labels, which is a fun little show and tell that I have here. All right. So we have a few items here. Jerry, I'll let you pick. What do you want to start with? Chicken broth, salad dressing, soup, or peanut butter?
I'm worried about the peanut butter. Let's start with that one.
Okay. I'm glad you asked. So tonight we're making banana peanut butter frozen sandwiches. And I purposely suggested that when we were working through our menu because I want to highlight the fact that peanut butter does not have to be bad for you, but it could be. It's one of those that could go either way. I get a lot of questions. Is it healthier to do peanut butter or almond butter? Truthfully, that is not really the question. If the peanut or the almond is healthier, it's how it's made that matters most. So I have here regular good old Jif and simply Jif. Does anybody want to guess which is healthier? Okay, Jared, Brooke, do you guys want to take a guess?
Simply Jif. That seems like it would have less ingredients and be healthier.
You would think that. First of all, not that it's relevant, but just to highlight the fact that this actually has 200 calories and the regular has 190. But they have the same amount of protein. The major difference in here is actually that Simply Jif has 2 grams of sugar and 1 gram of added sugar, and the regular has 3 grams of sugar and 2 grams of added sugar. So this only has 1 less gram of sugar. If you were to look at the ingredients list, as I said before, look at the ingredients list. Do not look at the huge number that they point out, like 190 and 200. Everyone would be like, oh, get this one, it has less calories. Well, it has more sugar, 1 gram more sugar. But this is supposed to be Simply Jif, and literally each one contains the exact ingredients, just in a different order. So this one has sugar listed as its second ingredient versus peanuts, then sugar. And this one has roasted peanuts. And then the next listed is fully hydrogenated vegetable oils. Yeah, that's not great. Mono and diglycerides, molasses, sugar, and salt. This is literally the same thing. Contains 2% or less of molasses, fully hydrogenated vegetable oils, mono and diglycerides, and salt. Same things, just switching the order. I don't know why one is simply and one is not. It's the same thing. I guess one has, no, they both even have molasses. I don't even know. So the answer is both of these are wrong. What you're going to do, and I shouldn't say wrong, that's really aggressive. I would not buy these if you're looking for the healthier option. You want something like this called just peanuts, and literally the ingredient is dry roasted peanuts. So if you're saying peanut butter or almond butter, there is almond butter out there that has like 6 different ingredients, just like these. You want the almond butter. Wegmans also sells one that's called just almonds. That is what you want to look for, that either just has dry roasted almonds or dry roasted almonds and salt. Same thing for the peanut butter. The beauty here is you could always add salt. If you're putting this on a rice cake, you could do a sprinkle of salt, maybe a drizzle of honey to sweeten it yourself. If you're making peanut butter and jelly for your kids, you're adding jelly anyway. It's going to be sweet. They don't have to know that it's this peanut butter and not this peanut butter. We even train ourselves to think that this is what peanut butter should look like because it's super smooth. This is like a little liquidy. And in our recipe, it says to melt the peanut butter to make sure you could spread it on your banana. If it's 100% peanuts, it's going to be liquidy. You actually have to stir it a little bit. So this is such marketing like manipulation, thinking, oh, I'm buying Simply Jif. It has simple ingredients. It's the exact same as this, has more calories and 1 gram less of sugar. And it's only because sugar is like further down on the list. But it's still there. And you still have the fully hydrogenated vegetable oils. It's out. All right, working through, I'll pick next. Let's talk about chicken broth because chicken broth isn't bad for you. I don't want anyone to think that it's bad, but there are things to look for. Like Swanson here says organic. You think it's healthy, but the first ingredient is chicken stock and the second ingredient is chicken flavor. You shouldn't be buying chicken broth that has to add chicken flavor. I don't really know where that flavor comes from. And then there's sea salt, carrot juice, onion juice, garlic, spices, tomato paste, and turmeric. That's fine. But why they have to add chicken flavor is concerning. But something like this, Nature's Promise, this is actually bone broth, so it's even higher quality. And this also is just chicken stock, sea salt, organic chicken fat. That's totally fine because there's actually not a lot of fat in this. Carrot juice, like it's totally fine. So you want to just make sure that you are comparing the two. And this actually, Nature's Promise, I think is just like giant brand. Like it's not even like a name brand like Swanson. So you want to be aware of that. Don't get anything that says flavor. Like if you're buying vanilla ice cream and you see one of the ingredients is vanilla flavor, do not buy that. You're better off buying the real stuff and just having a little bit of it. I mean, it's ice cream, like, you know, just at least make it high quality ice cream. All right, we're gonna go into dressing. Out of these 3, Brooke, I'll call on you now. We have Kraft Balsamic, Primal Kitchen Balsamic, and Brianna's Homestyle Balsamic. Which do you think it has the most calories?
Kraft. Like
Guess what?
the mac and cheese.
Kraft, actually, this has the least amount of calories. This has 70, and they're all the same serving size, 2 tablespoons. This has 150, and this has 100. But let me read you the ingredients in the Kraft. So you would read this, you're like, oh, 70 calories. You know, perfect. The other one compared to 150. Well, the last ingredient in here says potassium sorbate and calcium disodium EDTA parentheses to protect flavor. You would never ever have this in your cabinet. You would never have whatever that is to protect flavor in your cabinet. This one, Primal Kitchen, by the way, is the best. If you're looking for marinades and dressings, like Primal Kitchen, you pay more for sure, but it is worth every penny. It is high quality. Their marinades are incredible. These ingredients are organic balsamic vinegar. Who would have thought? What's the first one here? Water. The first ingredient in this is water. The first ingredient in this is balsamic vinegar. This is what you want. Avocado oil, water, sea salt, organic lemon juice, organic garlic powder, organic onion powder, organic black pepper, organic dried basil, and organic dried oregano. I don't know about you, maybe it's not all organic, but I have all of these spices in my spice rack, and I have balsamic vinegar in my cabinet. So if I can't make it on my own, which I that's the thing, I have to make my own dressing all the time. Like it's super easy, just like on the salad. But if I didn't have time or I just wanted something different, this is what I'm buying. Very different. It has 100 calories versus 70. Who cares? Our bodies don't know what the heck to do with disodium EDTA to protect flavor. It doesn't know. And that is why we could be hitting plateaus in our weight, because we're having foods that our body just doesn't know how to metabolize and digest. So it is so important to look at the ingredients list. And lastly, just to show soup, home style makes you feel like mom's home cooking versus just organic chicken noodle soup that I'm pretty sure is, I don't know, Health Valley. I don't even know what the heck that is. But bottom line, this contains, I'm not even going to read it all because it will take so much time. From here down to here is the ingredients list. If I had to put all of that in our soup tonight, it would be my entire kitchen. I would just have like grocery store racks of stuff. And I don't even know, like disodium inosinate, disodium guanylyate. You can't expect food like this to do wonders for your body and make you feel good if you could barely pronounce them and they are not found in your kitchen or your pantry. This is all, I mean, I could pronounce every single thing here totally fine. There is organic garlic powder, organic spices. There's whole eggs in the pasta that's in here, semolina, which is just wheat flour, potato starch, rice starch, like simple. Don't let the home style fool you. Definitely read it. I don't know about you, but my mom didn't put sodium bicarbonate in her soup. So make sure that you are reading the ingredients. And honestly, you don't even have to read this. If you turn it around and ingredients start in the top third and finish at the bottom, that's too many. I mean, nothing should require that many ingredients. So overall, the fewer amount of ingredients, the best. I'm actually taking this aside because we're making our dessert with that. Make sure you're not looking at calories first and foremost, and don't let the marketing completely throw you off. Like they want you to think, oh, Simply Jif is better or home style is better. I don't know what non-home style is. I really didn't look, but make sure that you're reading to see if they're just trying to sell you on something to make it look a little bit different, or if it's actually good stuff. And I will say you're going to pay for it. But at the end of the day, the fact that the Kraft balsamic vinaigrette first ingredient is water, you're paying for water. You don't want that. You're going to have to use a lot more of it. All right, we're on a full boil here. I'm going to turn this down to a simmer. I'm going to add my green beans and my parsley. I'm using frozen green beans. That is something that is totally fine, as long as the only ingredient in there is green beans. If we're making, in this case, we're making soup, you could put them right frozen into the soup. It'll cool it off a little bit, but that's okay because this is already boiling. If you were making them as like a sauteed green bean or roasted, you would want to leave them out because even though nutrient-wise, they're the same as fresh green beans, they're going to have higher water content if they're frozen. So you definitely want to let them thaw to get that extra moisture out, kind of wring them out with a paper towel to get the extra moisture out. If you're using them in soup, it doesn't matter. You could throw them right in as is. So I'm just ripping up some fresh parsley to put in the soup. I'm going to give it a quick stir and add my beans and cover it, and we can move on to dessert.
And Julia, I know everyone here with us is not only health conscious, but busy. So something that really helps our family is we splurge and use a grocery delivery service. We either use Amazon or Instacart for all of our grocery shopping, so we never actually go into the store. And what I love about that are a couple things. One is when you're in the app ordering the food, you can see all the ingredients, every nutrition label, and it makes it very easy to compare across brands and pick the healthier option. And when we go back into the app to order again, it makes it really easy for us to order the same thing over and over again. So once we've selected the healthy options that are best for our family, it's very easy to repeat that order and just have it be delivered again.
That's a really good point, Chair. And I love that too. I'm a big fan of grocery shopping from home. the other day I had 7 minutes before a meeting and I was like, hey, I could go grocery shopping in 7 minutes. So I had all of my stuff already, like previously bought, pull it up, like for the most part, unless you're trying something new or you're like, oh, like I haven't bought this in a while, chances are you buy close to the same thing every week. Added it to my cart and it was good to go. I will say though, when I do a cooking demo, I tend to like to go to the store to pick out certain things to make sure I'm actually getting what I need, because sometimes they make the substitutions, or I'll just make sure that I'm ordering a day ahead, because if something doesn't come out right, then at least I have time. But I am a huge fan. My husband likes going to the store and that could be his thing. And if you think that, it's like a nice hobby to go, he likes to make sure he's picking out his produce. That's fine. But there are definite pros to ordering from home. And as Jerry mentioned, seeing the labels and knowing what's in everything, and then you bought it once, to just add to cart again. It is a time saver and it really makes it easier. And truthfully, yeah, the labels are really hard to see sometimes. So at least when it's on your computer screen, it's bigger, it's easier to see. But I do feel like there's a way more pros to ordering online, because you could actually check the labels and compare. And some stores you could even put in like specific, like what you're looking for. Like if I say like gluten-free pasta, some stores like they have it like all over the store. So like I know it's going to pull up all the gluten-free pasta in one place. Like you could be really specific, which is nice. All right, I'm just going to cover this back up. Now I have my pasta on the side and I will serve this. I will plate this at the end. I like to keep my pasta on the side for two reasons. One, I don't always put pasta in my soup. Sometimes I feel like it's enough just to have, especially if it's for lunch, it's enough just these vegetables that's in here, the amount of protein that you get with the beans. If you were part of our longevity cooking demonstration, we talked a lot about the benefits of plant protein. These kidney beans are a great source for that. I think it's just a really filling, hearty soup. And if you put pasta in it, the pasta will absorb a lot of your liquid. So you may start off with a whole pot and the pasta absorbs it and you're like, where did all my liquid go? And then it's just not great. So I keep my pasta separate so that when I have my soup, I will put my pasta in the bowl, and the pasta now is room temperature. Even if it's cold, the hot soup will warm it right up. So I always keep my pasta separate when making soup that involves pasta, because it will just eat up all the extra liquid that's in your soup and you don't want that. All right, I'm switching over for dessert. Do I have any questions right now? Now would be a good time to ask.
Julie, speaking of grocery stores, how do you feel about bulk buying at a place like Costco or Sam's Club or a warehouse club?
Ooh, so as relatively new members of a big warehouse store, I am a fan. Our family goes through fruit like crazy, and they have the best fruit and produce. It's really incredible. We go to, I don't know why I can't say the name. We go to Sam's and they just have incredible fruit. So yeah, I'm a big fan. However, it's bulk. And I feel like most of the stuff that comes in bulk is not healthy. Like you could buy like a jumbo size of Lucky Charms. Is that smart? No. But you could get things like your meats from there, your produce from there. If you're using it a lot, a frozen fruit is a great example, or frozen vegetables. Those are still healthy and they're cheaper. So if you are someone who consumes a lot of those ingredients, or a household that consumes a lot of those ingredients, absolutely go to the big warehouse stores. I'm telling you, Sam's strawberries are incredible. And the way my son eats them, you would think they're going out of style tomorrow. So we buy them literally like the big ones, 2 at a time. He used to be a big fan of blueberries and suddenly he's not. So what we did was just we froze the blueberries we had, because there's no way we're going to finish them all. So you could use those in smoothies. So you could always take fresh and make them frozen. So I am a big fan of Sam's Club. All right, I am going to slice these bananas this is the perfect ripeness. And I feel like I get lucky every cooking demo that I need bananas that are spotted, and they just happen to be spotted on that day. So this is the perfect ripeness for freezing bananas. If you have made nice cream sundaes with me before, I say this too. When they are like this, I actually tend to freeze them, and then I will buy fresh, because these are the perfect type to freeze. They're not too ripe, but they're ripe enough that they have, like, if you get them that they're underripe and they're frozen, they're just going to have a really weird texture and absolutely no flavor. But if they're too ripe, they're going to be mushy. This is the perfect ripeness if you're freezing bananas. So I am just going to slice my banana down. You can make them as thick as you want. I tend to keep them at like 1/2 inch thick. And as I mentioned before, my peanut butter is really liquidy. It's a fresh jar. There's a lot of oil in there. If you're familiar with the natural peanut butter, you know that it does separate, even almond butter. So mix it up so that you don't have all the liquid on top, but you won't have to melt it. The only thing you're going to be melting is your chocolate. And I am going to half dip my banana slices tonight, because it's going to look like what's on your recipe card. Just honestly to try it out. I think it looks really pretty that way, and it's easy to dip. So sorry, I don't think you guys could see what I'm doing. So I am just going to line these up here, spread them with my peanut butter after I stir it, put it on a plate with parchment paper, because they will stick to the plate. It's going to be a mess to try to get off to dip them. And then I'm going to throw them in the freezer for a few minutes so that I could get them to chill to a point where when I dip them in the chocolate immediately hardens on them and they're good to go. But I would say try to eat these within a day or two, or they kind of get funny, since they are bananas, and bananas brown quite easily. And it doesn't matter how much peanut butter you put on. If you like a lot, go for a lot. If you like a little, just do like a thin amount, a thin layer. But this is gliding on beautifully. So if you're like, I don't care about the health benefits of peanut butter, at least get the 100% peanut one for ease to put these together. And then you're just going to take the other half that you don't have a peanut butter on and top it.
For what it's worth, Julie, in our house, we like the Justine's cinnamon almond butter, which is really, really good. It's really good on bananas and apples, and just like some of the other ones you mentioned, it only has 2 or 3 ingredients.
Yes, that is what you want to look for. I think that they do the individual packets too. And I did see that Wegman sells the Just Peanuts. They sell this in individual packets. And I know, Jerry, you and I talked about this. It's a really good snack on the go. If you want, if you're traveling, like any airport sells apples and bananas, and you could always just, put some peanut butter on it. If you really wanted to, you could just eat peanut butter out of the packet. It's great if you have kids who are on sports teams and you're running around, like watching them at their games and you're starving. You could have a packet and put it on, your fruit, or even if you want to do like pretzels occasionally. It's a really good option to have that protein and healthy fat to keep you full and hold you over. All right, I'm going to give this one more stir. And I'm going to put these sandwiches in the freezer, and then I could plate my soup. And I'm going to do cheese. I can't do minestrone soup without cheese. If you don't want to do the cheese, you absolutely don't have to, but I put cheese in pretty much any soup that I eat. That's how I grew up. We always had Parmesan cheese next to our soup at the table. So that's just how I grew up, and probably habit, but I just think it adds such a richer flavor adding cheese to any soup that I eat. At least that's what I tell myself. All right, so I'm going to pop these in the freezer, and I'm going to start melting our chocolate chips after I plate the soup. These are actually, Jerry, you mentioned your kids. These are great desserts for kids too. My kids love bananas, chocolate, and peanut butter, and this is a really good way to get that into their diet without, it necessarily being a cookie or a candy. The chocolate that I'm using is 85% cocoa, so it is actually right here. So it is dark chocolate full of antioxidants. If your kids don't like the dark chocolate, a good way around is to add a little bit of sea salt on top because it makes the chocolate taste a little sweeter. And it will make the peanut butter have a little more kick too, especially if you're using the just peanuts peanut butter. And also it's nice to incorporate it for your own addition of potassium and healthy fats and things like that. So it's a really good snack, really, even if it's in the middle of the afternoon, which is another reason why I like dipping it just with half chocolate. So it's not too much. It's just a little bit to sweeten it up. But it is really a nutrient dense snack compared to having cookies or crackers or even, dipping pretzels in chocolate, like anything like that. All right, let me plate this soup. So first, I'm just going to take my pasta. This is gluten-free elbow pasta. You could have whatever kind of pasta you want. I just use the gluten-free. You could do quinoa, rice. As I said, you could do it plain. If you're gonna use pasta though, for this soup, the short pasta is the best. So you could even do orzo or the little ditalini, which are like the little tubes. A shorter pasta is definitely great for this. Put the soup on top. It's still really boiling. In real life, I would probably let it simmer for like another 15 minutes just because I think my green beans could be more cooked. But overall, everything is looking and smelling delicious right now. And then I'm going to get my cheese because we do the real thing. So when you're doing cheese, there is a big difference between buying a jar of Kraft that oddly is sold in the middle aisles versus like a wedge of Locatelli or Parmesan cheese that you get that, is in like the actual cheese aisle. And this is just a microplane, and it seems fancy, but the taste is so much better, and they put a lot of additives in. Even if you're making something that requires shredded cheddar cheese, you're better off buying a block of cheddar than the shredded, because they have to add preservatives to prevent clumping of the shredded cheese. So wherever you could avoid buying pre-shredded cheese, do that. So buy your whole block. I mean, this is like a little piece off of a massive block. And we like cheese on our pasta, we like cheese on our soup, so it's worth it. And we do the little serving fancy of our cheese, but this is smelling amazing. It adds a lot of depth of flavor. Buy your cheese whole, don't buy it pre-shredded if you can. It's going to taste better, and it's not going to have the preservatives, and it will say on there to prevent it from clumping, which makes total sense. Just buy a block and shred it yourself. I mean, a cheese grater is very easy to get your hands on. It's inexpensive, it's dishwasher safe, and it doesn't take up a lot of counter or cabinet space. So it's a pretty good kitchen tool to have. Or the microplane is even better because you could grate garlic, you could grate lemon, you could do all of that with it. So this is our soup. Can you see this? Yeah, you can see it. This is the soup. I am going to let the bananas chill for a little bit longer, and I'm actually going to add some coconut oil to our chocolate and throw it in the microwave to get it melted. And it's winter time, so that means the heat's on in the house, and that means that the coconut oil is already melted. So I'm just pouring it in and microwaving. Does anyone have any other questions? All right, this soup is looking good. I'm just going to turn it down and simmer. You could also, so sorry, Jar, if you had a question, but I just want to say, if you are a crock pot fan, definitely you could have all of your ingredients cut up the night before, and in the morning just throw them in the crock pot and put it on low for like 4 or 5 hours, and you'll be really good to go for later in the day. So I used to do that a lot back in my pre-health coaching days, and I would cut everything the night before, throw it in the crock pot before I left for work in the morning. I would leave, and then I would come back, and my apartment would smell like soup, and it would smell amazing. So that's another option, is to at least prep the veggies at night, and then you could go and just throw it all in the morning.
That is exactly what we did, Julie. And we put everything in the crock pot this morning, as we do 3 or 4 days a week. And we will be having this minestrone soup right after we finish.
Oh, very nice. And it's not something that you have to constantly watch. So I just stir this and throwing it in for another minute, and that should be good. And like if you're making a chili, you have to brown the meat before and then put it in like this. You literally just take everything and put it in the crock pot. And if you want to have your pasta boiled on the side, that's totally fine. And if not, you don't have to. So that's a great idea. And I'm sure it added a lot of ease to your day, and to have a home cooked meal, just having it all sitting in the crock pot for the day.
Julie, what was the coconut oil for? Do you always use that when you melt chocolate?
I do. So 2 things. 1, it gives it like a nice shiny coat. And 2, if you, especially for something like a smooth, like banana, so coconut oil hardens when it's cold or room temperature. So it actually just makes the chocolate harden into a shell easier than if it were just plain chocolate. So it stays better on the banana, because the banana itself is a little slippery, and it gives it that nice sheen that you would see on like that chocolate shell that you could buy that's like made by Hershey's.
Okay.
Yes. If you were like putting the chocolate on, like, I don't know, I can't think of a good example. Like I make chocolate peanut butter cups with oats, and I just like drizzle chocolate on top. I don't put coconut oil on that. That's not necessary, but for these, it definitely is. All right, so I'm just mixing this up, and I'm going to get my bananas, and then they're not going to be super cold, so they will have to go back in the freezer. But if it's frozen enough, as soon as you dip it in, within seconds, it will harden like a nice smooth shell, which is what you want. Okay. So let me get my bananas out here. And I am going to, I'm gonna use my fingers. Use a fork too, but that just doesn't seem necessary right now. And I'm just gonna dip half in and set it up here. It's not staying, I will admit, this is not staying as well. I should leave it probably at least another 30 to 45 minutes, but for the purposes of this demo, this is all you're gonna do, is dip and roll and put it back on the plate, and then freeze it again, and it will come out. If you feel like this is coming out, this is like kind of coming out thin, you could do a layer, put it back in the freezer, take it out, and go through a second time to make it like extra thick. So that's an option too. You could also get fancy, and you could alternate. You could do like dark chocolate and milk chocolate, or dark chocolate and white chocolate. So you could get fancy too, and just like layer. So do a dip, put it back in the freezer, let it sit for like an hour, take it out, do it again. And you could make it as thick as you want, or like I said, do different kinds of chocolates too. That's another fun option to add variety. All right. Does anyone have any other questions? We have a few minutes left. My cheese, by the way, is melted beautifully over the soup. So that's another great thing about grating your own, is that you could see it just create this nice little blanket.
And will you just freeze the soup after this, Julie?
No, we'll definitely go through this this week, but soup is one of those great things that you could actually freeze. I'm a big fan of excuse me, actually having food, like if I made a bigger pot than this, we do this with sauce too. Like my husband will make sauce on a Sunday and we will freeze it. And then you just take it out for like individual servings or for 2 people. So it's actually a really good way to also save time. The one thing is you have to remember to take it out soon enough to thaw. If you forget to take it out in the morning, you could kind of expedite it. I wouldn't do it in the microwave. That kind of gets it defrosted at different temperatures in different places. Your best bet is actually either filling your sink or a big bowl with hot water and just submerging it in that, and that will defrost it quicker if you forget to take it out in the morning for dinner.
Thanks, Julie. Great job. They both look amazing. I can't wait to try the soup
Yeah.
after this.
I know, it's great. And you know what? It's actually like I tend to think of soup associated with winter, but this kind of light vegetable soup could really be enjoyed at any time of year. I am a soup lover. Like I really could eat soup any time of year. But if you're one who's like, well, typically it's like a winter thing, it's not heavy, it's light. As we get into the spring and summer, you could even start using some of the vegetables you're growing. If you grow your own carrots or if you grow some tomatoes, I know a lot of my family cans tomatoes, so like maybe you're using your own tomatoes. So it's really a good opportunity to kind of use what you already have and mix and match the vegetables that you're already growing. So, you know, why not just throw some homemade stuff into there as well?
Absolutely. Thank you again, Julie. This was great. And thank you to all of you for joining us tonight. We love spending time with you and cooking with Julie. We have a number of great events coming up, and we would love for all of you to join us there. Some are healthy, some are not as healthy.
You could do, I know my husband's excited about the whiskey tasting. So I mean, that's just really fun. Like the wine tasting, I'm not anti. I'm okay with alcohol. If you had a bacon tasting, I don't know, that might be a little frowned upon from this side, but just don't include me on those emails.
We will not have a bacon tasting, but we have had an unbelievable response to the whiskey tasting. So we are about to ship a lot of whiskey next week.
And before we leave, I also wanted to let everyone know that I will be giving Jerry a link to my calendar. Everyone has the opportunity to schedule a complimentary 30-minute health coaching session. If you have any questions, maybe you're looking to start, you know, grocery shopping healthier, or even just like get some kind of a system together, I am more than happy to help and answer your questions. It's never too late to start. If anything, you know, we're getting into spring and summer now too. So now's a really good time of year to start thinking about, you know, rearranging your habits, getting some healthy ones going, maybe setting aside 1 or 2 bad habits that you've been carrying through the year. And I am more than happy to talk with you. So you'll have access to my calendar. Just pick a day and time that works best for you. It is a unique link just for Presilium's clients and their friends and family. So that will go out to you with this recording as well.
Yep, absolutely. And thank you again to all of you for introducing us to your friends and family and inviting them to events like this. We've really enjoyed working with them and helping them to also reach their financial goals. So thank you, everyone. Have a great night, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Bye, everyone.